take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I am out in Beijing, but I want to introduce you to someone who is a Beijing legend. And an interesting thing, he's actually from Glasgow, and his name's the one and only Bruce Connolly. This is Bruce.
Well, what people normally call me is La Bullseye Beijing. Old Bruce, that is, in Beijing. Because this is my home. Although Glasgow, but Beijing become a place that you become fascinated with. It's an amazing city, historic city. It goes back, way back to 11th, 12th century, this part. But the history of the city goes way back thousands of years. And it's been great for me. 34 years since I first left Glasgow on the train from Glasgow Central to Hong Kong. And
so you've been here for 34 years, Bruce?
Not quite, Ian. I came 34 years ago with no idea what China would be like. Couldn't really see very much or read very much at that time about it. But I found it totally fascinating when I got here at that time. But I had to get back to Glasgow. I had to get back to work.
So whereabouts in Glasgow are you from? So that I can let you guys know maybe the connection between Bruce and I, because this is quite an interesting connection. But Bruce, where are you from originally?
Dockland.
Okay.
Down by the Kelvin Hall, overlooking the docks.
Okay.
From there, moved up to the Drum. And then
my hometown, Drumchapel.
But then from the Drum, of course, like many families, we moved over the wall into Bearstown.
Into Bearsden, Mulgai boy here, Bearsden boy here.
So you see, in Glasgow you follow a pattern. You go from a room and kitchen to to living in the scheme in the Drum, which I actually had a great education there in Drumchapel. In fact, that's where I learned to write, to become a writer, to become reading books and so on at Stone Dyke Primary and at Waverley Secondary.
Stone Dyke Primary and Waverley Secondary. Kingsridge Secondary.
What's your primary?
Camus Place and then Langfolds.
Well, there you are. We end up here speaking Chinese. Can you imagine that, coming from the Drum? But
we were just speaking Chinese to some passers-by there, just to say we didn't want some of the things that they were asking us for. So two old guys from Glasgow sitting in Beijing talking Chinese to locals. So anyway, sorry Bruce.
I went on to Strathclyde University, and from Strathclyde did postgraduate at Glasgow in geography, which was really all started, believe it or not, from Stone Dyke Primary, because there I'd read all these travel books. And travel books took me to all corners of the world. And one of the things that happened there was reading old National Geographic magazines, where I saw photographs of Lhasa in Tibet, Dawson City in the Yukon, and Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. I wrote an essay, I always write the essays, want to travel, want to get to Lhasa, blah blah, What happened? I got to Lhasa.
So you've been to Tibet, like how many years ago?
Well, that was now 21 years ago. In 2000 I got to Tibet, to Lhasa, and I stood in the Patala, Guangchang, Patala Square, front of the Patala Palace, and going like this, and holding then a glass of Tibetan beer, Lhasa beer, and a beer on the cans that said, "Beer from the roof of the world." I'm saying, Qianhai. It was only a dream you could ever get to these places. But what happened in 1992, my former employer, Strathclyde Region, they had a relationship with Guangdong province in the south of China, which was really developing then. And they wanted two teachers to come out and part of an exchange program with Guangdong. So I was selected because I've been to China. I spoke Chinese. I could say "Ni hao."
You spoke a handful of Chinese words.
Totally. I'd been, and I could talk the hind legs of a donkey or whatever, a dog, about China if I wanted to. So I was selected. I went to Guangzhou, and it was so different to being in Glasgow. It was incredible, you know. I loved it, and I suppose I've been here ever since. You know.
So just to explain another connection between Bruce and myself. So my children back in the UK actually went as teenagers to Douglas Academy in Mulgai. Bruce was a teacher in Douglas Academy, yeah.
I actually was at Jordan Hill College. You know, you've got to go to Jordan Hill to become a teacher. And I was in the shorter course in Jordan Hill because I'd done postgraduate at Glasgow. And we're discussing where to send me. So I went to Douglas Academy. Ian, I tell you, the first couple of days, the kids at Douglas gave me a really hard time. The classes were quite big. They knew I was totally new to the game. They knew that they could take the mickey out of me. And I remember, I wouldn't want to admit it at the time, I remember after a couple of days, getting into my car, driving down to Mulgai, getting into the Cross Keys.
Cross Keys in Mulgai.
I said, I can't handle this. I can't do it. I can't go on, you know. But I ended up going back up, and actually I loved it. I loved Douglas. I wish I could have stayed there. However, it was a long time ago now, Ian. Nobody would ever have thought we'd end up in the capital city of the biggest country in the world. And what's the population of Scotland, Ian?
The population of Scotland is 5.5 million people.
Right, 5.5 million. Beijing is 4 times the size of Scotland, and this is only one city in China, and it's not the biggest city in China. 4 times. I one guy back in Glasgow wrote to me, he says, Bruce, how on earth could you go and live in a city of 23 million people after you growing up in a village for part of your life, Eaglesham, the south side of Glasgow, with 1,000 people? How could you go to live there? Easy. You get used to it.
Yeah. I'll share more as Bruce and I are going to go around a little bit of China now.
And take Beijing.
Or Beijing, no, not the whole of China. Sorry.
Swing his camera around to the guy coming up on his bike. Can you do a zoom, Ian?
I can.
See the guy. See the guy was laughing. Hello, ni hao. See the guy. I mean, that is very typical of.
I think I'm getting.
You got the guy.
I think I'm getting. Yeah.
With the cowboy hat and the big beard. You know, it's just kind of other guys running around. Hi, ni hao.
Yeah.
Guys on their bicycles. Look at that. I mean, that is an old guy, probably the same age as me.
Yeah. So this is Beijing. Yeah.
This is it, you know.
Bit of a famous local person, aye?
No.
Come on, Bruce, yeah.
But what I did do, when I got to Beijing, when I started living in a Hutang, we'll show you later what I mean by Hutang. They're alleys, little lanes. But when I started living, 1994 really, it was so different to Glasgow, it was so different to the city today. I found a passion for Beijing that led me to do a lot of research about the history, the background, the geography of Beijing, and to really study it and do a lot of lectures, even back in Glasgow, and photo exhibitions about it, and writing about the city. I never try to get involved in controversy and all that, but you do see back in the West a lot of negativity. And the word Beijing is often used, sadly. And people get this very wrong impression of what Beijing is like. You've only got to look around here. People doing exercise, people, you know, on the bikes, people along. Here's a couple bringing, things along here. You know, this is Beijing. It's nothing like the image that's presented in the West. I have never really, if you think very hard, I really had almost no bad incident or bad moment. I use public transport. I mean, where other country in the world would you be? An old lady stands up to give you a seat. And you fight with the old lady, say, no, please, sit down, change up. And, no. You know, and there was virtually no street crime. You could be sitting here, I've got an expensive camera, I'm sitting here, there's nobody come up, hey Jimmy, give me your camera. You know? Sorry, I didn't mean that in Scottish. It's actually a very safe place. It's an old city, but also a very modern city. First class, fabulous transport system in the city. It's so cheap to travel. Really cheap. You know, you pay 20 pence travel on the bus. You're watching some of Ian's videos, which sometimes I get a good laugh at. A Glaswegian in Beijing.
I'm still learning, Bruce. But,
no, I mean the nicest possible way. It's actually quite. It's quite amusing to see your perceptions of it.
Yeah.
We love going out for beer, for example. We get places near here, Stanley Town, where you go in. And I've got my favourite, my local there. And where else in the world would you have discount on happy hour beer? You get happy hour beer, but you also can get discount on your happy hour beer, and even an extra beer because you're a friend. Would that happen in Glasgow?
No.
No way. I love it. And
I can see that you love it, mate.
sometimes, look, let's be honest, there are times when you do feel, get me back to Glasgow. You know, there are some things that can drive you crazy. But you just go for a beer and you relax, you know, you laugh about it afterwards, you know. And of course, you're asked, you know, they always want to know, are you an American? No. Sugarland. Sugarland, Sayonara. Sugarland. Where's Sugarland? They go, bagpipe. Or whiskey. Whiskey. Or where the men wear the skirts. The men wear the skirts. The men wear the skirts. They get drunk and they play funny music. That's Scotland.
That's us.
That's us.
And we can laugh at ourselves. Yeah.
But people do love to come up to you and say, "Can I have a selfie? Can I take a picture with you?" Okay.
So we're going to walk off and take some shots. Bruce is quite a famous street photographer here. So I'm going to learn how to take some street photography working with Bruce, and I'll share some of that with you. But once again, thank you for tuning into my channel. Please follow me and Bruce as we explore a little bit of this local area, which is the...
This is Zhonggulo.
Zhonggulo.
Zhonggulo. You hear the drum?
Yeah. Can hear the drum. We'll share this with you, but we can hear in the distance the drum is just starting.
Look, so this area, very, very important for the old city of Beijing. Zhonggulo. The drum and bell tower. Goes back, really, these buildings were restored because of fire damage, earthquake damage, but it goes back 11th century. Very famous area, this. I've loved this for years. Zhonggulo.
Well, let's head off, and guys, follow us, and we'll share what we get up to with you over the next 5-10 minutes. So once again, thank you. Take care. So this was a temple.
It was. A lot of these things, you know, during the sort of Cultural Revolution, they collapsed and were taken over by locals because the temple's all shut.
This is a Hutang.
Well,
street, yeah.
this one is actually Hutang Beijing. I can do some of it. Chang is factory. Beijing, North Alley. I'm not sure what Sal means. Something factory, some kind of product was made along this alley. But you've got all kind of things like the Silk Alley, the Tobacco Alley. Like, when I take you down here, we're going Qianhai CGA, the lane of the long stem pipe maker.
Okay.
And so they're all kind of parts of the, you know...
So parts of the local industry, sort of
yeah.
local police officer, and you can scan his QR code to contact him.
I tell you, Ian, we must make a date to go around some of these alleys, because these are very much the kind of
traditional.
This is where Beijing started. when you go up there, you know, you've got this view right down, it's sort of line down to the Qianhai Park. Now you do see the girl going across, the traffic lights are red, you know, this is Beijing, folks. The sound of that. I first discovered this in 1994, and I used to be writing for magazines promoting Beijing, and I said to my colleagues, you know, I found this lane. I said, it's really fabulous. I said, this could really be a high point in the future. Oh no. It's become one of the major tourist attractions. Merchants up here became quite prosperous with this trading. This was one of the access into the city from the boats coming up from Hangzhou.
So this is quite a rich area?
It was.
People would be rich here
now. Although now
it's touristy.
Some people have it. I was up here, which I took photographs. I was up there taking photographs of all this getting done. That was in 2001.
Welcome to Beijing.
Beijing, Huangyini. You got that one?
Yeah. You walk into the store.
Oh, you have that? Beijing Huangyini?
Hey guys, so Bruce and I have been around this local area. We have just shared the video and the content with you. We're going to bid you farewell. We're going to go
Go to a temple.
Grab a beer. I was going to say a beer.
We'll go to a temple first to redeem ourselves. And
then a beer. And then we're going to head for a beer after the temple.
Correct.
This is the temple. Cheers, Gambe.